Good afternoon, friends. A very warm welcome to our past presidents, Renukaji and Ushaji, our past chairpersons and members. We have here another event in the Love Yourself series. To be beautiful means to be yourself, and you all, my friends, are truly beautiful. Daily rituals are a good way to demonstrate self love, and a skincare routine is a great way to start your day. We are hoping by the end of today's session, we should all have our own skincare routines and also find answers to some of the questions that plague us about our hair and our skin. To this end, we have here with us today Dr. Sonali Kohli, the consultant dermatologist and venerologist at Sir H.N. Reliance Foundation Hospital and Research Center. Hi, Sonali. Welcome to
Hi,
Food. We are so
thank
glad.
you.
We are so glad to have you here with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Dr. Kohli has a fellowship in cosmetic dermatology. She has also done international fellowships in laser and injectables from Bangkok, as well as a hair transplant fellowship under Dr. Alex Ginsberg in Israel. She is pursuing her degree in functional medicine at the IFM Institute of USA. She is amongst the select few in the country listed with the institute. She has authored multiple research papers and has been an honorary dermatologist to the President's House. Dr. Kohli has a keen interest in functional medicine's approach to treat her patients. She is certified to administer the latest in anti aging and dermatology treatments such as lasers for pigmentation, scars, and rejuvenation, radio frequency and ultrasound based skin tightening, platelet and stem cell injections for various dermatological and aesthetic indications. She is also certified in body contouring, hair transplantations, mesotherapies, and injector for Botox and fillers. Dr. Kohli was awarded the National Award for an Emerging Dermatologist by Medscape India 2017. She was further awarded the Most Promising Cosmetologist in 2018. Further, with the Delhi Ratna Youth Award. In conversation today with Dr. Kohli will be our Senior Vice Chair, Manjari Agarwal, and Secretary, Manisha Srivastav. Manjari is also a writer, a restaurateur, and a health coach. Hi.
Hello.
Manisha, on the
Hi,
other
hi,
hand,
Hello,
hi,
everyone.
is an image consultant and a color analyst. I'm confident today will be an informative and interesting session with three dynamic women. Ladies, the floor is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunira. Hello, Dr. Kohli. It's nice to have you here with us.
Pleasure is
We
mine.
all, we all have a tendency to take our skin for granted and underestimate the importance of how it is so important for our overall well-being. We only really notice it when something changes, sometimes a blemish, sometimes aging, and sometimes even a disease. Little do we know that the skin is actually the largest organ of our body. Dr. Kohli, maybe request you to deep dive into the subject for us this afternoon.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I would like to start by firstly thanking the Flow organizers for having me on this platform. I am truly very excited to speak to all of you about a subject which I'm so passionate about. Thank you to the chairperson, Sunira ji, for such a humbling introduction. Before we start today, in answering your questions, I wanted to give you all an idea of what holistic approach truly means. And what do I mean when we say that let's have an integrative approach to getting healthy, glowing skin. So can we have the PPT, please? So while we wait for the slides to come in, I want to give you an idea of what is holistic skincare. You know, the name in itself actually is self-explanatory. When I say integrated, I mean we're trying to integrate all the systems to get to the root cause of the problem. Suppose you have a skin infection or a skin pigmentation. Where does it really originate from? The integrated approach to dermatology helps us to understand the root cause, that is the system approach to handling skin. Next slide. So we all know that for the longest time, skin has been associated as a tool of beauty. Hello? Sorry, I think there was some voice over problem. So I was saying that for the longest time, we have known that skin has been an organ of beauty. It has been associated with aesthetics. But I'm wondering, rightly said, skin skin is also your largest organ. It's not only responsible for aesthetics, but it's also responsible for providing protection and taking care of your immune system. That is a barrier against pathogens from outside. Could I have the next slide, please? Now, coming to the topic of today, that is holistic healing. So when I talk about holistic healing for dermatology, I like to refer to something which is known as the yin-yang dermatology. Now, we all know that yin-yang is a twofold concept of the universe. It's basically an energy flow system that we all survive in that brings us equilibrium. In dermatology, in my approach, I personally like to think of this as yin being an expansive energy, which is covering our whole body, and yang being the constrictive energy, which could be dependent on our mental, emotional, as well as hormonal health. And in my approach, when these two are in perfect equilibrium, that truly is the sign to having healthy glowing skin permanently. I have a pyramid approach, and my pyramid has 3 tiers. The first tier, of course, being the intrinsic well-being. Now, what do I mean when I say intrinsic well-being? I am primarily referring to the diet that is involved, that is the nutrition that we derive from our food, and of course, our hormonal health. We can't overlook the fact that these days, even young girls are impacted by the hormonal imbalance. The second tier in my approach, of course, is mental and emotional well-being. Now, one would think that why does depression or anxiety have anything to do with skin? All of you, honestly, will be surprised at how much of an impact our mental health can have on our skin. Just to give you a simple example to correlate, the condition which is known as eczema, which is very common and causes a chronic itch, is actually majorly related with your mental well-being and has been noticed more in people who are suffering from anxiety disorders. And we will get into this more in depth as the conversation goes forward. My final tier of the pyramid, of course, is the physical well-being, which involves movement, exercise, and the skincare products that we apply on our skin. I hope this brings some clarity to all of you. Can we have the next slide, please? So the approach that I'm wanting to clarify to all of you today, of course, will be based a lot on nutrition. And I will, in our talk further, dwell a lot upon what we should eat and the foods that we should avoid. So this picture, honestly, is quite descriptive of my talk today. Our food, our mood, our mind, and our behavior, and of course, our skin is all dependent on what we feed our body. And truly, when we say we are what we eat, I don't think there can be any more truth to this sentence. Can I have the next slide, please? So I know I have been stressing on you are what you eat, and all of you must be wondering that what is it that we should eat. So just to give you a brief idea, in a day, you must consume at least 2 to 3 liters of water. Now, this is what I refer to for an average individual. However, if you are an athlete or someone who is sweating a lot or might need more consumption of water, please do increase your water intake. Having said that, people with kidney diseases should avoid having excess water. 6 ounces of fruits and vegetables is what I recommend on a daily routine. I like to give a simple trick to my patients, and I call it the rainbow diet. So make sure your plate is filled with as many colored fruits and vegetables as you can. And in that manner, you will end up covering a lot of cruciferous vegetables, root vegetables like bell peppers, and a lot of fresh herbs like thyme, oregano, chives. They are all very, very good for you. Can I have the next slide, please? I hope this is all a good description for all of you and a good takeaway note, because this will help you understand that what is it in our diet that we should concentrate on. Now, coming to the most important part, which is hormonal health. And as I said earlier, honestly, without this yang element being in our body, our yin cannot perform. So it's very important that our hormonal health is always in balance. Now, when we are born and before we hit puberty, most of us don't even remember having any skin issues. But this cycle starts the minute we hit menarche. So please understand that the hormonal health has a major role to play, not only at the onset of your periods, but also as you approach menopause, which is premenopausal. To all the YFlow members there today, I'm sure many of you might be suffering from PCOS and PCOD, and we will discuss a lot about the skincare that is required in these conditions. And as far as premenopausal is concerned, also I have prepared certain recipes to share with all of you to help you tide over this step. Next slide. So, and also quickly, just before I move to the next slide, I would also like to mention about thyroid and vitamin D, which is equally very important. Now, coming to my final tier, which is the mental and emotional well-being. This is just something that I want to leave with all of you to think over. Why is it that we have criteria of beauty? And who honestly made these criteria of beauty? Is it important that we have an elliptical face or have perfectly straight hair to really fit into the criteria of beauty? Being a dermatologist, and that too one which is concentrating on aesthetics, I genuinely believe that the true beauty is having healthy, glowing, disease-free skin. And to have that, we must free our mind of all negative thought, free our lifestyle of all negative behavior. I will share with all of you a few tips which I feel can help you develop a positive body image, which I think plays a very important role to good, healthy, glowing skin. Could I have the next slide, please? I often refer to my patients, as the reset program. I often tell them that now is the time that we need to reset. And considering the fact that we were all in this lockdown, and as we step out of this, I feel we should all enter with better habits, a choice to a better lifestyle. When I say lifestyle, I'm not only talking about addictions. It's also very important that we develop a healthy sleep cycle. We stay away from refined sugars because these things can impact our mood as well as our diet and of course the weight on our weighing scale. It's also very important to decrease our screen time. When I talk about sleep cycle, honestly, I am not saying that we should all only sleep for 8 hours. It's more important that we maintain sleep hygiene, which means we need to decrease our screen time. So I would urge you all to try these small steps. 1 hour before going to sleep, try and refrain from seeing your phone. Try and refrain from watching Netflix and all these binge watching shows. Spend that 1 hour inculcating some time for yourself. Have a nice chamomile tea, calm your brain, allow your hormonal circadian rhythm to come into place. And I hope you will all see these changes manifest in your skin the minute you adopt them. Can I have the next slide, please? And now finally, we will come to the base of the pyramid, which involves our physical well-being, which is primarily the products that we apply on our skin. And of course, a major part is our exercise and movement. But as we said earlier, skin being our largest organ also implies that a lot of what you will apply on it will be absorbed directly. So it is very important, and genuinely, I urge all my patients, I urge all the viewers to become aware consumers. Learn to read your labels. Be aware of what you are applying on your skin. There is a huge range of products, a plethora that we can all choose from. But it's very important to be aware what we apply because that's literally going into our bloodstream and will affect our hormonal balance. Can I have the next slide, please? Now I'm going to finish with this next slide. Before we get into the questions, I just want to give you a brief idea of what is it when I say what is good skincare. So good skincare actually refers in my dictionary as something I like to call as the CTM regime, which is cleansing, toning, and moisturizing. Now, depending on your skin types, of course, you should choose the cleanser differently, which we will discuss later. Toners are also mandate because they help to keep your pores clean. And moisturizers, again, should be customized as per your skin type. But for me, honestly, the most important part in this whole regime is the sunscreen because you can't imagine how much we age with every time we have exposure to sun. Thank you so much. I hope you all have got a brief idea. And now I'm looking forward to answering all your questions.
Thank you so much, Sonali, for that overview. That was really, really helpful. Like me, I'm sure all our members will have many, many questions for you, and we'll take that as it comes. To start off with, let's clear some doubts on that many of us have for skin. So we all know by now that there are 4 basic kind of skins, which is your dry, combination, sensitive, and oily. How do we determine sitting at home what type are we? And the second part to the conclusion to my question is, does the skin type change with age or season?
Thank you. And honestly, that's a very commonly asked question. So it's a very simple method that we can all follow. When you wake up in the morning, before washing your face, we should all see how your skin feels. If you feel that you instantly need to wipe off all that excess oil from your face, you clearly have an oily skin. Now, sometimes you might feel that you are only feeling oily around your nose, the forehead, and the chin part, but the rest of the skin doesn't feel so oily. In that case, it's a very usual indicator for combination skin. But if you wake up in the morning and you feel that there are patches of redness, or you feel blotchy and you feel that the skin is a little itchy and you instantly need to wash your face, that's an indicator of sensitive skin. And of
Right.
course, when you wake up and the skin is completely dry, that's an indicator that it's dry skin. For all those enthusiasts out there are pH strips which are available in the market, which is very quick. You just apply it in the morning on your skin, and as the pH changes, you know which spectrum you really fall into. So a healthy skin should be anywhere between 5.5 and a 6.
Right, that was helpful. So many of us, the most common problem that we see a lot of the women have is dark pigmentation, dark spots, especially around the eyes, around the nose, and around the mouth area. What are some simple home remedies that we can follow to help that?
As I said in my talk earlier, for me, always there is a root cause. So if there is a perioral pigmentation, I definitely like to look into the nutritional status of the patient. So vitamin B12, iron, and vitamin D. These are three basic things I look into when there is dull skin and uneven skin tone. Having said that, thyroid could also play a major role in causing unevenness of skin. Now, if there is a root cause, unfortunately, home remedies alone are never a solution. But in the meanwhile, I know we're all stuck in this quarantine. Not everyone can step out to do a blood test. What you can do is that you can use gram flour and licorice, which helps to exfoliate the dead skin, and it will give you a little bit of a glow. And consuming oral vitamin C is very helpful.
Right.
Thank you.
Manjari, would you like to take the next one?
Sure. Thanks, Manisha. Dr. Kohli, can you share a daily skincare routine that we can all follow, like from the time we wake up till the time we go to sleep during the day? How should we take care of our skin?
Yes, definitely. As I was mentioning, in my last slide, that I like to call it like the CTM. So it's the cleanser, the toner, and the moisturizer. Of course, the cleanser really varies upon your skin type. So if you have a dry skin or an aging skin, it's very important that you use a creamy cleanser, because that will not rip your skin of all the moisture. And if you have a very oily or acne prone skin, you should stick to foam based or gel based cleansers. And combination skins do very well with gel cleansers. Now, when it comes to toners, it's important that you make sure your toner doesn't contain any alcohol or any fragrance, because that can cause more harm than benefit. Even using plain rose water at home actually works very well. And a quick home remedy, which I have also experimented with this in this quarantine period, is rice water. And trust me, it has multiple benefits. In fact, the whole Japanese skin line is so famous, and that's based on this rice water, because it contains pitera, which is brilliant for your skin. So for people who want to try DIY at home, ferment the rice water at home overnight, and you can use it as a toner post your face wash.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much. You touched upon sunscreens a little bit. Can you expand a little bit more how important it is, and if there's any natural substitute for it that we can use if people are a little more conscious about the chemical content in the sunscreens available?
Yes, I think you've asked me a very good question. My patients often refer to me as a sunscreen doctor, because I think my every prescription has a sunscreen, honestly. No, I'm a huge fan. I know there's a lot of research out there where people have thought that sunscreens could be cancerous. But honestly, as I said, if you're an aware consumer, you really know what's in your sunscreen, you don't have to worry. Now, having said that, it's very important to understand that when we look at an SPF is only a sun protection factor, right? That means it's the time that you can be out in the sun without getting a sunburn. However, it's not a measure of protecting you from pigmentation and aging. For that, you need to look for the triple plus sign on your sunscreen or a circle. So I recommend all the patients, and all the viewers, that you must look at your sunscreen. Anywhere between 30 to 50 SPF is good. That means you can be out in the sun for about an hour or two without reapplication. But it's important that you look for the triple plus sign. Natural sunscreens, only the oral sunscreens can work. There are in the market which contain Fern complex, which works very well. And raisins, old nuska of eating raisins actually works very well.
Wow. Great. Thank
Right.
you.
So there are so many products in the market, Dr. Sonali, and it's always very confusing which one to select, which one is the right one for me. If you can help us all identify some key ingredients that people with mature skin should be looking for, that would be really helpful.
That's a really good question. Thank you for asking. It makes me very happy when people want to be more aware of what they apply. So, hyaluronic acid is something which is very popular. But now the question comes is that are all hyaluronic acids good? So, hyaluronic acid is honestly a molecule that you should look for in a serum form because that's where the absorption has been seen that is very, very good. Having said that, if you do not have a very sensitive skin, you must try and use a combination of hyaluronic acid with retinol. You can see anywhere between 0.25 to 0.5%, which is relatively safe. Retinol dehyde is also something which you should look for in your creams. It's a newer molecule, causes lesser irritation, but it has brilliant anti-aging benefits. And for everyone who has dry skin, especially premenopausal, or many people notice that shift, in the pH of the skin. Using a good vitamin C serum is not only as an antioxidant but also anti-aging.
So before we take that question from one of our members, what's your opinion about face oils?
Face oil, I'm not against them. I just feel that you have to be very careful with your skin type. So for people who have active acne, I do not advise that you should experiment with face oils. However, for dry and matured skin, face oils can work very well. Olive oil also works very well. Sesame seed oil for mature skin is very good because it helps you to hydrate and it's non-clogging. Grapeseed oil is very good. Now, oil should always be applied when your face is slightly moist to increase the absorption. So try and use a oil post applying like rose water so that you can increase the absorption and not block the pores.
All right, that was helpful. So there's a question from one of our members, Ritu Jajodia. What are the items from the kitchen we can apply on our skin as we age?
Okay, so for aging skin, one thing which works is actually, if you're a vegetarian, I don't know, but an egg yolk mask actually works well because it helps to tighten your skin temporarily. Of course, not long term. But what you can significantly use is grapes because grapes actually are rich in tannins, which have an anti-aging benefit. That works very well. You can add in a little bit of clay, which will help to tighten the pores because as you age, the pores become more visible. I will share with all of you recipes because I know that these are very common questions that everyone wants to know. So before we end the talk, I will quickly share a few DIY mask recipes.
Right. So before we go back to Manjari, just one more question from one of our members, Vandana Budhia. She's saying, due to thyroid, I have a lot of black patches on my face. How to improve it?
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, that thyroid plays a very important role for good skin because it's one of your grandparent hormones. It's pretty much controlling everything else in the body. So what we have to do is, of course, get your thyroid checked. But other important things is that eat a diet which is rich in selenium because that's your thyroid support. So eating selenium will be very, very helpful. You can eat pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. They are all very helpful. Now, coming to the skin, you can use something that contains glycolic acid or vitamin C, which is both antioxidant and also skin lightening.
Right. Thank you for that. Manjari?
Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you. So in these times, all of us are indoors. Unfortunately, we're not able to go out, and the air conditioning is kind of making us get a little dry. Any remedies or tips to handle that?
So basically, because all of us are indoors, you're right, absolutely, that our skin is getting ripped of the moisture. So one easy to follow remedy is just avoid having very hot water showers because that rips your skin of the moisture. Another thing what you can do is make sure that when your skin is damp, you apply a thick moisturizer or a thick oil, like a coconut oil or a shea butter. And rice water, as I said earlier, works very well for dry hair as well as dry skin. So the last rinse that you use on your body could be of the rice water, fermented rice water.
That's great. And
I think there's a network issue. Dr. Sonali, can you hear me?
I can.
Said we can eat to. Yeah. Did you get the last question?
So I didn't get the last question.
Okay. We've spoken about some of the foods that we can put on the skin, but I'm also wondering some of the foods that we can consume that can help in delaying of aging, or can help us with a natural glow.
Yeah, so there are actually a lot of foods which are considered with anti-aging benefits, and these are foods which could be actually very, very rich in antioxidants. So berries is my top favorite out of all of them. Consuming all kinds of berries, whether it's strawberries, blueberries, they're all good for you. Eating vitamin C rich food is very helpful because vitamin C plays a major role with your collagen breakdown. So, citric fruits like avla, that's Indian gooseberry, oranges, that's very good. Lemons, that's consuming all of this in high dose also will help massively. And eating green leafy vegetables helps a lot.
I think Manjari is having some internet. She's back. She's back. Go ahead, Manjari.
Sorry. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Manisha, you're next.
I think Dr. Sonali just needs a couple of seconds because she's just moving her tablet from one point to another. We're sorry about this, but just bear with us for about 30 seconds.
Manisha, I have a little bit of trivia for you while we wait.
Yeah,
Do you know
tell
how
me.
long it takes for our skin to replace? Do you know? So our skin actually replaces itself. Do you know how long it takes? How many days or a year it replaces
No,
itself?
tell me about it.
There was a little bit of a issue with my laptop. Sorry for that. Yes, so where were we?
No worries.
So just a small trivia with Manisha. So
Right. So
7 days for our skin to replace itself.
So we'll just take a question from a member, Divya Jalan Poddar. She's asking, what can we include in our diet for healthy, glowing skin?
So, honestly, for whether it's something that you're looking for glowing skin or you are looking to get rid of pigmentation or aging, when it comes to food, all of them come with the combined benefits. So, what I would recommend is that make sure that you stick to that rainbow diet, which I mentioned earlier in my slides. Of course, the portions of vegetables and the portion of fruits becomes very large. So, it's literally a plate full of vegetables and a plate full of fruits twice a day. And in the beginning, that can be sometimes very difficult. So what I usually tell my patients is that you can start making frozen berries and making a smoothie out of it so that you consume that many different colors in your diet without filling yourself too much.
Right. And what is your opinion about supplements, Dr. Sonali? I mean, do supplements really help, or is it more of a genetic problem that we all face with our skin? And how long is it to consume a supplement? I mean, how long? What should be the ideal duration?
So I always tell my patients, and a lot of times they ask me that why do I need supplement when I'm eating well? But the word supplement in itself explains it. It's an add-on. So it's never a replacement for your nutrition. It's only an add-on to your nutrition. We all eat healthy. And we all try our level best to consume all the necessary nutrition from our diet. But where our food is coming from, what soil it has grown on, how much fertilizers it was exposed to, we don't really know that. And the only way to make sure that we get nutrients is from our supplements. Having said that, of course, there are certain supplements which can only be taken when you have a particular deficiency. But there are a general group which everyone can consume, like vitamin C, zinc, omega. These are some things that we all need. And genuinely, all Indians are pretty much deficient on vitamin D because many of us have not had that excess sun exposure as kids because we didn't want to tan our skin, and as a result of that, vitamin D is low in most of us. So vitamin D is something I do tell my patients to have checked. And for all of us who are vegetarian, it's very important that you monitor your vitamin B12 levels. Trust me, it's not just your skin, your memory, your nerve function. It has a whole bunch of other effects in your body.
Right. So we have a plethora of questions coming our way. Our members are very keen to know more. There is a question from Preeti Rawat Sabu. She's asking, please suggest a home remedy for dark circles and what soap would you recommend to use?
Okay. So honestly, I don't recommend soaps when it comes to the face for the simple reason that soaps contain something which is known as surfactant. And what that means is that it helps you lather. So you know how we have our washing powders because they lather so much. So they contain very high amount of surfactant which can rip your skin of the natural moisture. So avoid using a soap.
Right.
Use a face wash which is non-foaming. Just because it doesn't lather doesn't mean it doesn't clean. It actually cleans better. So shift to something like that. And what was the other part you asked me?
Can we have that question back once again,
Oh, it
please?
was about the dark circles, I think. So when it
The
comes
dark
to dark
circle.
circles, it's important to have your iron levels checked and decrease your screen time. Please follow a healthy sleep routine. That makes a lot of difference. At home, what you can
Yeah.
use is potato skin and cucumber extract. They both are soothing. They don't solve the problem, but they can decrease the appearance.
Sure. I think we'll take one more question before we move on to Manjari. Okay. Yeah. So there is a question from Deepika Chamaria Khetan. Is it best to have amla juice on its own as a few teaspoons in the morning?
Yes, actually having amla as a concentrate, I literally call them my morning vitamin C shots. They work very well. So you can even have amla, you can have lemon. Having said that, if you have any issues of sensitivity, then you must consult your doctor before you do that. But if not, then amla is completely safe.
Well, thank you for that tip. Manjari?
Thank you. So let's move over now from natural remedies to treatments. I think now
Right.
treatments are becoming very popular, and there are a lot of questions around it as well. What are the side effects, especially something like laser treatment, where a lot of people feel that it's not okay for people with skin with acne. What are your recommendations? And also, if you can talk about other treatments that people have, maybe for loose skin, Botox that you specialize in. So
Yes.
if you could elaborate a little bit on that.
Sure. So, as much as I believe in my approach to holistic handling of the skin, which I still stand by, aesthetics is something that is just an add on. So, as I think the chairperson said in the beginning, you all are very beautiful. But sometimes we all want to feel a little extra beautiful than we already are. And in that scenario, using these procedures is actually completely safe. All I tell my patients is that be aware of the doctor you go to, because when it comes to lasers, honestly, they have no side effect whatsoever, because that laser energy is only working at the site where you're delivering the energy. So let's say we're talking about laser hair removal, right? So if I'm doing it for the upper lip, that energy is not being absorbed by your body. It's only burning your hair follicle. The only problem comes in when it's done by people who are not trained to do it. If you don't know the right energy which should be used for that skin type, that's when a patient can develop a burn. And secondly, it's very important that you follow the post-procedure care, which involves, sun protection, using the right sunscreen, taking the right supplements, because your skin is little sensitized, so that can affect. Botox and fillers, at the same time, again, are actually very, very safe. The only trick with them is that in Botox, the lesser is always better. So it's not more, it's always less. So if you do less, you can actually end up looking very natural, and it only relaxes your muscle. So it doesn't have any side effects. So a lot of people believe that, certain celebrities have had major reactions, or they've had heart issues because of this. There is no scientific research to prove the same. The only thing is that the injector should be well trained and their hands should be well, practiced, so that there's no side effect on it.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. We have a couple of questions from the audience. There's Simi Gupta. She wanted to know that during these COVID times, we have to avoid getting threading done. So besides laser, is there any other method for face hair removal?
Unfortunately, there's no natural remedy to get rid of the hair that has already grown on our face. So your hair follicle is like a living cell. So when we do laser, we destroy that cell, and that's the only way to kill it permanently. I am not so much in favor of face waxing, because I feel that when you pull the hair in the wrong direction, it can actually harm you more than cause benefit. And also it opens your pores, which can get further infected, and you develop acne or you develop a rash or folliculitis. So face shaving is actually better than waxing. And I know a lot of people believe that post shaving, our hair comes back thicker. But there is no research to prove it, honestly, because shaving is like trimming the hair from the surface of your skin. So when you're removing something from the surface without touching its root, you honestly can't impact the physiology. So there is no research which says at any point that shaving makes your hair thicker and harder.
Great. One more question from Payal Himatsinka. Is collagen good for skin and how often can one have collagen?
So actually with collagen, there's a lot of controversy because it's a very heavy molecule for your body to be able to digest it. So the best way to consume collagen is actually having bone broth. So for all the non-vegetarians, that's a really quick way to do it. Vegetarians also can have a broth. Of course, you have to be more careful and more inclusive. So, you need to add a lot of celery, you need to add a lot of root vegetables to be able to get that kind of nutrition. There are certain drinks which are available which contain collagen peptides. So whenever you buy a collagen, look for that collagen peptide on your label because that the body can absorb better. And honestly, it really helps your gut and that's how it's helping your skin also.
Great, thank you.
Right. So, Doctor, thank you, Manjari. Can we just talk about some quick pre-party packs that one can put on our skin? And let's just discuss different kinds of skin. What are some pre-party packs that you would recommend that one puts on and sees an immediate change in the skin?
So, actually, I knew that this is something very popular. So I prepared 4 slides for different skin types for glowing skin. So if I could request you to share those slides with us and I can talk about the ingredients that we're using.
Sure. Can the IT department please put the PPT on?
Something that's so popular, one is prepared before. That's something that we will be asked for sure.
Yeah, that was good thinking. Can we have the PPT, please?
Yes, we have it. I can see it. Thank you. Yeah. So the approach which I'm saying that I've tried to include ingredients which are easily available in your pantry because I understand that we're all amidst this lockdown. So for dry skin, what works very well is, as I mentioned earlier, the rice water. It's very rich in lipids. It's very rich in patera, which is very, very helpful for toning and moisturizing your skin. Now the bananas not only have an anti-aging benefit, but they also have a moisturizing effect for dry skin. We also add honey because that will help smoothen the skin and prevent any sensitivity of the product. And our yogurt is serving as a probiotic. So it helps to replace that natural microbiome of your skin. Licorice powder is my secret ingredient for glow because it's actually a brilliant antioxidant. So it helps you get rid of that dull skin and brings that glowing skin. So these are the ingredients. There's no right or wrong quantity. So I'm not going to tell you use 1 teaspoon and 2 teaspoons. You can just mix as per the quantity of the batch that you require. But these are not masks that you should refrigerate. Please consume them the minute you make them. Because especially when you use a banana, these fruits get oxidized very quickly when exposed to the atmosphere. So after making the mask, apply it within the first 5 to 10 minutes.
So this is primarily for dry skin, right?
Primarily for dry skin, yes.
Yeah.
That's why we've added so many. Now coming for oily skin, we have to be a little more careful. So firstly, I would like to clarify for everyone who has active acne, please refrain from using the mixture. You can stick to using only Fuller's Earth or bentonite clay. That is enough because in active acne, you can worsen the acne by using a mixture of too many products. However, for people who have oily skin or clogged pores, but you do not have any active acne, you can use this mix of 4 ingredients, which is the Fuller's Earth or Multani Mitti, bentonite clay, which is easily available. Now, one thing you should remember is always look for clay in the powder form because the powder form has a longer sustainability. If you get the clay in the form of a paste, it can get spoiled easily. Add honey to prevent sensitivity. Adding that orange zest actually is my source of vitamin C for your face mask. And rose water will serve as the carrier. So this is what we have for oily skin. And again, there is no right or wrong. Just use the quantities as per your batch. Now for combination skin, we go with rice water again because it's moisturizing. So for your patches of dryness, the rice water will take care. Gram flour works very well for the T-zone drying because you have patches of oiliness and dryness in your skin. Now combination skin is relatively not as sensitive and that's why I have added lemon. However, if any of you have any sensitivity, please do not add this. In place of lemon, you can add the orange zest. Now, crushed grapes is what works very well because it has tannins, and this works very well even for mature combination skin. So if you have mature skin and you're looking for a freshening anti-aging pack, this works very well. So can we have the next slide? Yeah, so as I had mentioned earlier, that sometimes consuming a plate full of berries and a plate full of vegetables twice a day can be very taxing. This is a quick recipe so that required amount of antioxidants is a part of your diet. So what I usually tell my patients is that freeze your berries, so or even bananas. Actually, they work very well. So half cup of frozen berries, 1 cup of cauliflower, because cauliflower is a cruciferous vegetable. It's rich in all the goodness, antioxidants, phytophenols, all of them. So it's very, very good for you. 1 small banana, 4 dates, because that's your replacement of sugar. So that you do not add any refined sugar to your, if you don't want to have dates, you can have jaggery also. 2 teaspoons of ground flaxseed. Flaxseed is your source of omega. And half a teaspoon of vanilla. That's just as a, for your own fragrance or for your own taste. If you're not a big vanilla fan, you can even add raw cacao just to change the flavor. So I hope these recipes are easy for you to adopt in your life.
Oh yeah, these were wonderful recipes. Thank you so much, Dr. Sonali. I'm sure that's going to be very helpful to all of us. So one quick question is, what is the best age to start using anti-aging products? And how do we select these anti-aging products?
So, honestly, all of us start aging once we turn 25. So that's very, very early. So post 25, actually, we should all at least use a vitamin C serum. But post 30, I do recommend the usage of a retinol or a retinol dehydrate product, because that will really help to, exfoliate your skin. As Manju was saying earlier, it's very interesting that when you are young, your skin has 4 layers. You're constantly regenerating new cells. And that period normally takes anywhere between 14 to 20 days. But as we age, it just keeps getting longer and the cells are not able to renew as much. That's why your skin starts looking dull. We have more accumulation of, dead skin on our faces. So for that, it's important that we start using anti-aging products and we start exfoliating once in 10 days.
Right. So we have a question from Shweta Nathani. Which is a better option for retinol, a medicated one or a cosmetic one, which is available over the counter?
I recommend medicated ones, for the only reason being that the concentration in the retinol is what the secret is. So if you use over-the-counter products, they might claim retinol, but they actually do not have that strength. And I'll just, without going into too much detail, I'll just explain you one quick way of knowing that is, whenever you buy a product, look at the ingredient list. The first 5 things in your ingredient list is what is present in the highest quantity, because the ingredients are always listed in a descending order. That means that will be the highest and the amount lowest. So sometimes when you will see, the retinol will be written somewhere in the 3rd or the 4th line. So it's really not in the concentration that your skin needs. And the same goes when we use shampoos. We're looking for argan oil shampoos. That argan oil is in the end, so it's just like a fragrance. It has no benefit. So that's why I said be aware, consumer.
That was a very good tip. Thank you so much. We have another question from Shelja Poddar. Is having a vitamin E capsule every day beneficial for a healthy skin?
So actually, I'm very glad that you asked that, because I didn't want to touch on this earlier. So 3 supplements which I actually recommend, which are important, is vitamin C, zinc, vitamin E, and omega. Now, what happens is that some of us are vegetarian and we are very particular about our consumption of the fish oil capsule. There are no vegetarian sources of omega, to be very honest. So flaxseed and walnuts are considered a substitute, but for you to be able to get that kind of an omega-3 from those walnuts, you have to consume at least 20 to 30 walnuts in a day and 20 teaspoons of flaxseed, which I think none of us can practically do in our daily life. So if that is a scenario, then it's better you supplement on a higher vitamin E, because that will sort of help your skin to replenish its barrier, because both these things, omega-3 and vitamin E, play a very important role in your skin barrier, the moisturization of your skin, the luminosity of your skin. So it's important that you substitute it with a higher dose vitamin E. Otherwise, I recommend up to 400 IU individually.
All right. So before I pass the mic on to Manjari, one last question. Archana Saraf is asking, can you recommend something for hair fall, frizzy hair, and dry hair? I think we can hold on to this question because we're going to be having a short discussion on hair. So maybe Manjari, you could take the next question before we move to hair.
Thank you, Manisha. So as women, we all are caregivers and we have to look after the men in our families and in our lives. So a little tip, for the men, how can they look after their skin? Some of them, with aging, the skin is becoming loose or they're getting blemishes, acne. Puberty is something issues that the young ones are getting acne. So if you could help us with some tips.
Manju, you'll be shocked. I think in my practice, I have more men patients than women because men have become so much more conscious these days. And they're so more aware of it. So actually the regime, which I said earlier, honestly applies to men as well. So the cleansing, toning and moisturizing. But with men, I know the compliance can be an issue. So what's very important is that they stick to a good face wash, which is for their skin type, and they stick to a good sunscreen. Because men tend to avoid using sunscreen because they feel it gives them a layer on their face. They feel very sweaty. So using a matte sunscreen or a water-based sunscreen is excellent for men's skincare. Having said that, in men, because the skin is thicker than of a woman, it's very important that they supplement correctly to have healthy skin. So even if there are pubertal boys, who are developing acne, it's important that they supplement with zinc at the right time because their scarring can actually sometimes be worse. So it's very important.
Okay. Thank you so much. Should we move on to hair, Nisha?
Yes, let's take a couple of questions on hair. We could put back that particular question that our member had on hair. Until that comes, the $1 million question, Sonali, is oiling good for hair? Please give us a verdict.
Yes, actually. So I'll give a very diplomatic answer. Oiling is neither good or bad. But I'll tell you what, oiling is good for the shine of your hair, for the volume of your hair. However, it has no role to play in your hair loss. So if you're asking me, is oiling good for hair loss? No, it's not. In certain situations, it will worsen it. Is oiling good for dandruff? No, it's not good for dandruff because dandruff is a fungal infection and applying oil will worsen it. I'll just explain a simple thing without going into too much depth. What happens is that our hair is actually not supposed to absorb water. Your hair is your dead protein. The only live portion is here in your scalp, the follicles. Now, when we apply oil on our scalp, the molecular weight of oil is such that it's not penetrating. It can't get absorbed. So there goes the answer that it can't help with hair loss. Having said that, these oils can form a sheath on your hair and prevent that water loss. So, when we come out of a shower and our hair appears all frizzy, that's because of the water loss that we're facing. So oiling your hair before washing your hair for about only 2 hours, no leaving your oil overnight, it can actually help prevent that water loss and result in shiny hair.
Right. Thank you for that tip. So let's take a question from our member, Archana Saraf. She's asking, can you recommend something for hair fall, frizzy hair and dry hair, please?
Yes. So for hair fall, of course, biotin is very good. Folic acid is very good. But having said these two supplements, it's very, very important that you ensure that in your diet, you're consuming at least 30% protein. Because sometimes it is the lack of protein in your diet, which is actually causing your hair loss. If you have hair loss with dry and frizzy hair, it's very important to get your hormones checked. Because sometimes the lack of female hormones and the increase in the male hormone in our body can result in that. Also, a typical pattern of hair loss when you significantly see your margins increasing from here could be because of the hormonal portion. So it's important to have that checked. If you feel that while washing your hair, you're losing hair from the root, have your iron levels checked. So that is what the thing with holistic, it's very difficult to give one answer and tell you that I have a magic wand and I'll fix it. There's always an underlying root cause. So with every condition that I see, there are so many other integrated conditions which we have to treat.
Right. So we have one more question from Namita Poddar Chaudhary. She asks, what should be the dosage of biotin tablet for 40 plus years? Can you suggest name of biotin tablet we can take? There are so many biotin on Amazon.
So unfortunately, this is not a platform where I can recommend any brands for the simple reason that, each individual requires a customization. Then with skin and hair, it's never that one size fits all. But what I can say is that the minimum dosage of biotin you need is 10 milligram. And when you look for a capsule, make sure that you're not looking for a biotin alone. Look for something that has 10 milligram of biotin and at least 5 milligram of folic acid. Additional amino acids, if they are present in the supplement, will always be more beneficial.
Right. Thank you for that. Manjari, would you like to take the next question?
Sure. I also do. What can you recommend that we can use from our kitchens that's available naturally?
Sorry, could you repeat that? I missed out on what you said.
Some natural hair dyes instead of the chemical hair dyes.
So what happens is a lot of hair dyes, they contain PPD and ammonia, which actually makes your hair very weak and brittle and cause causes an increase in hair loss. Try and use ammonia-free colors, but also make sure that your dye is free of PPT, because a lot of them will say ammonia-free, but they'll still have PPT. Having said that, having natural extracts, like tea extract, indigo dyes are there which are present. These all can add color. Henna, of course, is a traditional one which has been used, but there are brands, I think, like Kama Ayurveda and Forest Essentials, which are more natural and they have a more natural source, and they will always contain like jojoba oil to moisturize your hair, because with henna sometimes you'll see over drying. So it's important that you add like a jojoba oil or you add yogurt while applying the color. And of course, when you use these colors, bear in mind that you will have to keep them longer. The exposure will have to be longer for the color to settle.
Great, thank you for sharing that. We have a question from a member, Sunita Bagaria. She wants to know how to treat colored hair.
I'm not sure what they mean by how to treat colored hair. Is it because are you having hair?
You're looking more for a remedy for like a dry colored hair.
Yeah, probably.
Some for that.
When we color our hair because of the ammonia, the hair bleaching process dries our hair. It breaks the cuticle of our hair. So what you can do is that you should use an intense conditioner. Using rice water as your last rinse works very well. For your hair, always use cold water showers. And at home, a mask that you can try is using avocado with an egg and adding a few capsules of vitamin E by cutting it. So vitamin E oil, avocado, and egg yolk. That works very well. You can apply it 1 hour prior to your hair wash.
Great.
Wow, that was useful. Manjari, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Go ahead, Manjari. Sorry.
Okay. Do we have any more audience questions? IT department, could you flash any more questions or? Okay. Here we. Is keratin good for hair? Sunita Bagaria is also asking another question.
Yeah. So keratin actually is very good for hair. It's the protein that makes your hair. But now the question comes is that when they claim in salons that they're doing a keratin treatment, are they giving you that protein? I'm not sure to comment on whether it's really true or false, but as I said, be an aware consumer. Keratin is a protein that your body produces. It's honestly very difficult for someone to put it from outside. So keratin treatment for hair is not something I recommend. But yes, keratin in general, if you see its supplements, you might see that they're promoting that for the reason that keratin is the molecule that forms your hair.
Sure. Great. Manisha, you have any more questions on hair?
Yes, so before we take on more member questions, because many of them seem to be having queries for skin. So here's my last question for hair. We've heard a lot about these hair loss treatments with the use of mini oxidils. How long can a person use that for?
So, minoxidil is a topical application that we give. Now, what it does is that your hair has 3 cycles. It's going through a growth phase, a resting phase, and a falling phase. So this minoxidil is not really treating the root cause, but it's pushing your hair from that falling stage to the resting stage. So as long as you use it, you won't have hair loss. But if you stop using it, sometimes patients do notice that sudden overnight hair loss. So if you've been put on minoxidil by your practitioner, please make sure that you discuss it with them before you just suddenly decide to stop it. Having said that, I do propose a lot of other hair peptides which have shown a lot of benefit, and PRP therapy for hair loss, because that honestly works very well. It's completely natural. It's your own blood, and there's no additional molecule which is added from outside that can cause any harm.
Right. So we are running out of time. So we'll take the last 5 questions quickly from our audience. The first one is from Shalini Kapoor. Can you recommend any natural remedies that help lighten acne spots? Thank you.
Actually, the mask which I mentioned for oily skin will help with the marks as well. Having said that, if the marks are recent, because the orange zest will actually help. If they are not recent marks, then you will have to use creams which contain glycolic acid to help with the skin lightening.
Right. So we have one more question from Meenakshi Goenka. How much zinc is the RDA for healthy skin? How much vitamin C is required?
So, when it comes to zinc, there are various forms. So what I normally recommend for the hair and the skin is zinc piconate. Okay, you can make a note of that. It's called zinc piconate. And the required dosage is anywhere between 22 to 35 mcg a day. Having said that, do we really get that from our diet? If you're consuming almost 6 to 8 ounces of green leafy vegetables twice a day, you might get that from your diet. But if you fry those vegetables, you've pretty much killed the nutritional value. So it's not coming from your diet.
Right. The next one is from Kamana Chandak. Can cryogenic treatment be done on the skin for aging? Does it have any side effects?
So no, cryogenic treatment actually doesn't have any side effects. It's more of a therapy where it was involved with freezing of the tissue, the cryotherapy. And we've used it more for fat loss rather than anti-aging. So it works more in fat loss with a lot of machines that are there, but not so much for anti-aging. Anti-aging, it's more temporary. You can do a cryo globe facial to give you that temporary look of tightened skin and shrunk pores.
Sure. The next one is from Kiran Khemka. Please suggest skincare during menopausal stage.
So during the menopausal stage, I would really insist that you concentrate a lot more on the supplement health rather than just the topical applications, because when you're going through menopause, the hormonal play on your skin is so much that if you balance the hormones, the skin will not show any benefit. So you can, of course, use a good moisturizer daily at night, which contains hyaluronic acid, glycerine, and shea butter, and a retinol cream. But oral consumption of evening primrose oil, which is completely natural, it has no side effects, making sure that your calcium and vitamin D is maintained to its optimum level, can actually have more benefit.
Right. Do we have another question from the audience? I think the internet is playing up a bit. So the next one is from Shweta Agarwal. Hi, some home remedies for open pores and white black heads on face.
So what happens is that pores is something that is genetically controlled, the size of your pores. And of course, your hormonal health makes a difference. But if you keep your pores cleansed, you can keep the appearance shrunk. So make sure you're using a micellar water, which works like a magnet to remove all that dirt and grime. So your blackheads will appear less. And a face mask that you can use is something with egg yolk and a few drops of lemon if you don't have sensitive skin. If you have sensitive skin, stay away from the lemon. Also, as a daily face wash, you can try using gram flour or Fuller's Earth, which is Multani Mitti. And bentonite clay once in 10 days is good for a skin like that.
Sure, thank you for that. Manjari, would you like to take the next question?
Sure, thanks, Manisha. We have a question from Prachi Makwana. How do you deal with tiny pimples because of the mask? Because of, I guess.
So what happens is that when you're wearing a face mask, it's causing occlusion. So again, using a cleanser morning and evening will really help prevent that occlusion. Make sure that your mask is clean. So if you're using one of those cloth masks or those DIY masks which you're preparing at home, they are washable. They should be washed. If you're using an N95 mask, which is actually only for health workers, then you need to replace it and not wash it. Because if you're constantly exposing your face to a sweaty mask, that could be causing the reason behind the acne.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That was our last question as we're running out of time. So on behalf of Flo, I would like to propose a VOT. Our skin is a natural wonder. It's our first line of defense against infections and UV rays. It also regulates our body temperature and helps us touch and feel the outside world. It also helps us to understand each other, whether it's a flush of embarrassment or a blush of shyness, sometimes a pale look of fear or a falling ill. The natural glow speaks volumes of how well we feel from the inside, as well as how well we take care of our skin. Thank you, Dr. Sonali Kohli, for sharing your vast knowledge in this subject and helping us understand it much better and the importance of this organ that we take so much for granted. Our members have had a very enriching session with you, and on behalf of Flo Kolkata, we are very grateful for your time. Thank you, Team Flo, for your wonderful efforts in the smooth flow of this event. Manisha, for being a fabulous co-moderator for this session. I would like to thank our lead sponsors, DRIL, and our media partner, Sanmark, for their support. A big thank you to our past presidents for your guidance and support always. Lastly, our members at Flo Kolkata for attending this virtual meeting and helping us nurture your unique spark together. Let's light up the world. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure being on this platform. Thank you all.